Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 27 of the Anime Banter podcast with your hosts, Turtle, Sean, and Mike. Thank you for joining us today. How are you two doing?
Feeling fine.
I'm here. This is the end of season 1 of Vinland Saga, and I'm excited to talk about this.
This has been a hell of a journey.
Well, let's talk about what it's meant for the Anime Banter podcast. We have not reviewed reviewed series this long before. This was our first, 24 episoder.
That's true.
Yeah, it felt different after doing Banter Blitz episodes and Chainsaw Man Trigun.
Yeah, it blows my mind that we were able to wrap up Chainsaw Man in 6 episodes, and I feel like we've been reviewing this for an eternity in a good way.
Mostly.
There have been some weeks where I'm like, oh man, I love this show. I can't wait to watch it more. And then there are some weeks where I'm like, oh, these episodes have been a drag.
Yeah, this show has some ups and downs. I think pacing, the way they're telling the story, but overall, I like it. I mean, I think it could be better by trimming some fat, but there's some good stuff in here.
I'm not completely opposed to the length of the season because, like, I know we all had complaints with Trigun Stampede and Chainsaw Man where it's like the season felt too compact, where like we never got that full lore dump. But with Vinland Saga, it felt like it was almost too long at times, where it's like, all right, just because you have a 24, like, I get it, you have a 24 episode season, like, you need to fill the gaps. But some of those episodes were just like, oof. And I'm starting to wonder if like 18 is the money spot.
Maybe 16 to 18, somewhere in that realm.
Like 12 never feels like enough, and 24 at times feels like too much.
Yeah, I could buy into that. Like a 16 to 18 episode sweet spot.
Which we'll never ever get.
Yeah, that's just not how the seasons work. In Japan they do it by the seasons, right? Right now we're in the are we wrapping up? Oh, we're wrapping up the summer season, and then the fall season will be October through December. Actually, I wonder what next season has to bring for
That's a good
anime.
question.
I don't really look into it. I didn't see what's airing.
Yeah, I haven't done too much digging. I know the new Castlevania show is out on Netflix, the spinoff, and the one I'm very excited for is the Scott Pilgrim anime.
That should be pretty cool.
I love that movie, and I read the graphic novels years ago.
I saw the movie. I think with you and a group of us, we went, and I thought the movie was pretty good. And then they dropped that beat 'em up fighting game. That was pretty fun.
Oh, I love that game.
I've heard it's a good game.
So I'm excited to check out an anime.
We might need our first anime banter game night, and the three of us play the Scott Pilgrim beat 'em up.
Hey, I'm down for that.
That'd be pretty interesting. Yeah, I was gonna say, Turtle's got the recording, for his YouTube channel.
I do have some recording equipment, so we can definitely make that happen.
And we all have PlayStation 5s.
Yeah.
Oh, hold up though. I mean, I'm not paying for online, you know, uh, usage. You know what I'm saying? Online subscription. I'm used to PC gaming where all the online gaming is free. I like the idea of paying for like to play video games online blows my freaking mind. I'm like, I get like a subscription service for an MMO. I get that, but like paying to play like Call of Duty on on the PlayStation when it's free on PC, just like I just don't get it. I mean, I do get it because PlayStation owns the servers, so it's whatever. But if like Activision owns the servers, though, what the heck is your money going towards for PlayStation? What are they
I
doing?
mean, you do get a couple free games a month.
F the free games.
Who wants free stuff?
I don't want free games. I have so many games to play already.
That's a fair point. My backlog is massive.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, the free games suck anyway.
Yeah, I typically don't get any of the free games because I'm not interested in them myself. So I get that.
I always at least add them to my library so they're there. So if I ever do want to play them, I have the option to.
That's fair. But if I look at it and I'm like, I know I'm not interested in this game. I know I'm never going to play it. Why would I add it to my library?
Yeah, there are games that they put out there. I'm like, oh, I am interested in that, and then I'll start. I'm like, not so much interested in this anymore.
Yeah, not what you thought it was going to be.
Yep. But
That
instead
happens.
of having to buy it, I got to play it for free.
That's fair.
For free in quotation marks.
Yeah,
I mean,
right. I mean, you're technically giving them money, so you're paying.
yes,
But enough about that. We
yeah.
have a show to talk about.
We have Vinland Saga to talk about.
The final 2 episodes of season 1. Shit has hit the fan.
Fan meet shit. Kaboom! As Turtle said, today we are talking about episodes 23 and 24 of Vinland Saga Season 1. Episode 23, Miscalculation. The episode begins with food and alcohol being brought in for a feast for the lords and elders. People are like, oh, people are starting to wonder if it's really alcohol in the barrels and everything. They're like, yeah, it's alcohol, it's for the elders. And inside the hall, people are quietly talking about the attempted assassination on Prince Canute. And they are trying to figure out who they want to back in the coming war or potential war between Prince Canute and King Swain. Prince Canute and King Swain arrive, and when King Swain walked in, I'm like, oh, someone got his hands on some 12th century hair dye.
Oh crap! Wasn't he all gray in the last scene?
Yeah, like
Crap! I didn't even notice that. Yeah. Steve's looking pretty good now. Yeah.
King Swain's pulling a Vince McMahon. If you don't get that reference, just Google it. And I was telling my buddy, I'm like, I swear, every time I see Vince McMahon, he's becoming more and more like a cartoon villain in looks.
All right, now I got to Google it.
Now hold on.
Like,
What is it? Vince McMahon hair dye.
oh, just look up pictures of Vince McMahon because the WWE merger just happened and he was all over Wall Street, and yeah, he's looking something.
No, that's not what he looks like now. There's no way.
It is.
What the heck? Did he dye his eyebrows too?
I think so. And he has that creepy mustache going.
Dude's trying to look like, I don't know, like Vincent Price or something.
Oh my word. Oh, I found the mustache. Wow. Okay. Yeah, cartoon villain it is.
Yeah.
My word. That is a look.
And he was already a cartoon villain before this.
Maybe
But
Vince McMahon is just a big fan of King Swain. He's like, oh yeah, pal, that's good shit. I should dye my hair black like that. It's good shit, pal. It's good shit. Getting old. I don't like it. I'm gonna dye my hair jet black. Grow a pencil stash. It's good shit.
could you imagine Vince watching anime? The dude just wouldn't get it. He'd be like, "What the heck am I looking at?"
His stash isn't it's not even across his face. It's got a life of its own.
It's not good. I was also thinking of the not to get political, but a few years back when Rudy Giuliani had like the hair dye like leaking
Oh,
down the side
jeez.
of his face.
That was
I was like,
hilarious.
I was like, what's going on here? And that's it. That's I imagine King Swain, just like, and the dye just like running down the side of his face. Everyone because because he's the king, they're not allowed to say anything.
Can we just call him like Swain McMahon from now on?
No chance, because that's what you got. No chance in hell.
Well, we won't be talking about him for much longer. I know we'll get to that, but yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Maybe he should have used some of that hair dye to coat himself in some armor.
King Swain, a real G and a bona fide stud.
So Floki is walking in with King Swain, and Prince Canute walks in from the other end of the hall, and he walks in with Askeladd, Thorkel, and Gunnar, which this was the only time we saw Gunnar these episodes. It's like, do we really need to like include him in this at all?
I think he's going to play a role going forward.
See, normally I would say that, but after the Anne episode, we could never see Gunnar again.
Prince Canute then asks Askeladd, "Hey, what happened to Thorfinn?" And he's like, "Ah, it's fine, whatever." And Thorfinn is walking. I use walking very loosely. It's more like a stumble.
It's like he's drunk. He's just stumbling through the town streets.
Yeah, like he still is bloodied from his duel with Askeladd the day before, and his face is bruising, and he's just slowly stumbling, and he falls over into the snow at one point, and then he's just sort of sitting there. And he's like, "Oh, I hear Askeladd's voice," and he chases after someone, and it turns out to be just a random soldier, and they're like, "Oh, fuck you, kid," and they want to beat him up, and then Thorfinn's just like, "You're not worth my time," and he just beats the shit out of all three of them. And then he gets thrown in prison by the person who thought he was the assassin.
The dock master.
After he found out he wasn't the assassin, he still had it in for him, for sure.
Absolutely. That whole like quote unquote fight scene was really interesting because Thorfinn's definitely out of it. Like he's not thinking, he's just like floating through, but there's no thoughts in his head. He's just, stumbling through the streets. He's like totally lost. And he easily takes out these three guys like as a reflex. And I just thought that was really cool.
Askeladd talks about how good a fighter Thorfinn is, except when he's like mad. And when he keeps his emotions out of it, he's just so instinctual and like so quick that like everything goes his way. So it's like, man, if you just kept your emotions out of it, you could be a really great fighter, Thorfinn. And situations like that where he doesn't have his emotions in it, kicks some butt.
I feel like this is gonna be the beginning. I think some stuff's gonna go down in season 2 where, we start to get to see him shape up as a fighter.
We're then back to the Lord Hall, or whatever the hell it's called, the Outer Hall, wherever they're having the feast. And King Swain thanks everyone for coming, and he's acting like he's very pleased to see Prince Canute, and he's glad that Prince Canute has returned, and he gives Prince Canute a big old hug. And Prince Canute is having none of it. Like, you just look at Prince Canute's eyes, and there's no warmth in them at all. He's very much thinking, uh, screw you, old man. And we learn that uh, King Swain is giving Prince Canute Mercia, which is like one of the highest wealth towns in the empire. And he asked Thorkel to assist Prince Canute in ruling Mercia. King Swain then says, "All right, men, our next campaign will take us to Ireland, where the previous king, King Harold, was embarrassed by Brian Boru." And he said this, I'm like, what type of basic ass name was that? Like, everyone else in this show has these, like, has great names. And then it's Brian Boru. What? And Askeladd is very happy that King Swain is reacting just as he expected.
Askeladd had Swain McMahon down. He knew exactly what he was going to do, and he was right on the money.
Until, like, literally 30 seconds later, King Swain's like, yeah, but before we go to Ireland, you know what? We're going to go to Wales first because there's a rebellion brewing there, and we're going to march on Wales in the spring. It's like, you literally just said we're going to Ireland. Like, what happened there? And Askeladd is shocked at this revelation, and Floki notices it.
It was at this point where I paused the episode and I went, "Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit!"
Yeah, no. At least I liking that. Once Floki is not just proving to be incompetent, because he hasn't really had any good moments since he just hired for Thors to be dead, right? He's like, kill Thors, okay. Um, which by the way, Thorfinn still hasn't found out.
North Orkel.
Which yeah, yeah. So I don't really love any of that, but at the same time, it's nice to see Floki do something legit.
Yeah, I mean, I thought for sure in the next episode we'll talk about it when we get there. I thought things were going to be announced, and I was shocked that he kept that to himself.
This next scene is when this episode really hooked me. Like up to this point, I'm like, oh, this is a fine episode. But I was a little like, really? This is your penultimate episode for the season? Like, nothing's happening. Like, it's like, oh, we're feasting, hooray! It's like, all right, this is like a middle of the season episode, not your penultimate, second to last episode of the season. Like, let's go. And
I don't
then,
know. I mean, honestly, I really like this one because it's a lot of like mind games between Askeladd and Swain McMahon. So I kind of like how they animated the back and forth between them, like they're each making chess moves in their mind, and then seeing the other's reaction as to what's going on. I really like that actually.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as Turtle. I actually thoroughly enjoy this episode. I liked the tension building because you
Yes,
could tell, like, you're like, okay, like you watch the whole episode and you're like, all right, when are they gonna bring it?
and the look on Askeladd's face when he dropped the Wales news,
Oh yeah,
just totally like it shook me to my core to see Askeladd like shocked, genuinely shocked. He did not see that coming.
oh, I liked the episode. It's just like, it wasn't until this point that it was really starting to hook me. Um, just because of how touching the scenes were between Thorfinn and Leif.
Yeah, these moments are good.
I like the chess match back and forth between Askeladd and King Swain, but like, I honestly don't think King Swain was planning like to shake Askeladd with the whales revelation.
Oh, he totally was. He totally was because it will, a little bit later when they have their one-on-one chat, he said he did research on Askeladd, so he was testing him to see what kind of reaction Askeladd would give.
I missed that part. I must have missed that part.
Oh, yeah, it's all the whole episode is mind games between those two, and that's what I really liked about it.
Anyways, back to the Thorfinn and Leif stuff. Thorfinn's in prison, and the prison guard who threw him in prison to begin with wakes him up saying he has a visitor, and it turns out to be Leif. And Leif is like, "Oh, I was so worried about you," and Thorfinn's like, "You have nothing to worry about. I'm fine. This has nothing to do with you." And Leif just sort of takes a seat and really sits down and talks to Thorfinn. He's like, "Look, I can't imagine the anguish you have gone through the past 11 years without Thors and sailing with Askeladd, the man that killed your father." And he's like, "Look, if you really believe Askeladd has to die for you to have peace, then it must be true." And Leif is like, "Look, I remember like it was yesterday when you were just this small, smiling child who was so innocent." And he brings up the story that he was telling the kids way back in the very first episode of season 1 about being trapped on that ice again. And he says 6 of his crewmates died at that point, but he refused to give up because sailors never give up their fight against the sea, just like a warrior. And he says, "Look, I'm not here for you, just for you. I'm here for my own sake, as this is the way I can respect the memory of Thor's," which sort of shakes Thorfinn.
it makes you want you start to think, and I know you really start to think that maybe, just maybe, Thorfinn's gonna go home.
I was kind of thinking he was.
Yeah, I actually kind of thought it'd be really cool if he just left it all behind, and then like I don't know, like Canute had like a vendetta against him later because he abandoned him.
That'd be an interesting twist.
Thought that was something that could have been played out, but it was not.
We're then back to the feast, and King Swain is giving out riches and lands to all the elders and leaders. And in the process of giving everyone the rewards, Floki tells King Swain about Askeladd's reaction to the invasion of Wales, and that he believes Askeladd's weakness is somewhere in Wales. And then we see Askeladd and Thorkel eating, and I loved this bit because Thorkel is just chowing down, eating everything in front of him. And Askeladd's like, "Dude, slow down while you eat." And Thorkel's like, "Shut up. I'm showing my gratitude to the god of harvest."
A great line.
That's my boy Thorkel.
I'm going to start using that whenever people tell me I'm eating too quickly.
I'm showing my gratitude to the god of harvest. Leave me alone.
Askeladd then begins to wonder to himself if King Swain knows about his connection to Wales, but Askeladd's like, nah, I don't think he does. It's just coincidence. But he's like, and then he starts thinking, he's like, well, I need to figure something out because if I don't, Wales is going to be a sea of fire come the spring. And I loved the visual where they showed a silhouette of Askeladd and they just highlighted his brain at work as he was spitballing ideas.
Yeah, those big brain moments.
And this goes back to what I mentioned before about these, mental chess game between the two of them. He got totally shocked by this Wales announcement, so he's just constantly like, "Well, maybe I could do this. Well, no, that won't work. But what if I try this? That's not going to work either. Come on, damn it, think. What can I do?" This had me like super excited. I was way into this episode for like nothing really happening. There's no action, but the way it was just set up and portrayed between these two characters playing mental chess games, I was really into this.
I feel the same way. Like I said, I love that. Like, I think about shows like Code Geass, and I guess maybe to a lesser extent, maybe like No Game No Life, where you get these characters who like are very good at thinking. That it's just what they do. They think hard, and you appreciate that though, because everyone loves like the genius character.
Yeah, for sure.
We're then back to Leif and Thorfinn. And Leif is telling Thorfinn about Vinland once again. And he's like, Thorfinn, we should return to Iceland, let things settle down for a little bit, and then the two of us can sail to Vinland together. And we can make it what your father wanted. We can build it from the ground up. Like, he's like, this is what your father would have wanted, Thorfinn. Thors would have wanted you to go to Vinland. And your father went to Iceland to escape the constant fighting. Thorfinn's just like, you know, moody teenager.
I think Thorfinn's more lost. Like he has no idea what to do with himself.
Yeah, that's a good point because, like, when he was
He's like a
stumbling,
zombie.
yeah, like, he has no real, like, drive at all in this episode.
After losing to Askeladd the last time, he's like totally broken. He has no idea what to do, where to go, who to be. He doesn't know who he is, but he can still kick ass.
I will say they did another great job doing the animation on this scene because Leif stands up and he's going to walk out of the prison, and the light is just shining in from the doorway behind Leif. And then Thorfinn is in the prison cell, and behind Thorfinn is just browns and blandness. And it's just like, Thorfinn, you can either come with me and we can live a good life, we can embrace the light of the world, or you can stay in that prison cell and have a drab life and like a hard life.
I actually didn't pay attention to the color difference there, so that was a really good catch, and it's a great visual as well to Thorfinn's choice. Do you go with Leaf, or do you stay where you're at and be lost?
We're then back at the feast, and Thorkel tells Askeladd he's been meaning to ask him about whales. And he's like, what kind of trick did you use to have the Welsh hide him when you're a Dane? And Askeladd's like, nah, fam, I'm actually a Welsh. Like, my mother was a Welsh. My true heritage is a Welsh. But please don't tell anyone. And Thorkel's like, okay. The episode ends with Askeladd being called to approach King Swain, and he wonders to himself why men like him have the best luck until the last moment.
What a great ending to an episode here. Oof.
100%. This was for me. This was one of the best episodes of the
I was on the
season.
edge of my seat here.
Yep. Thank goodness we don't watch these every week as they come out.
Oh man, I'd lose my mind.
I don't know how I could just stop there.
I was wondering, I'm like, it's like, oh man, there has to be another scene, right? And then like, nope, end credits. I'm like, damn it.
It's a good thing we got another episode.
I figured we would at least would have learned like what Askeladd's reward was or something. But they're like, no, is King Swain pissed at Askeladd? Is he gonna reward Askeladd? What's gonna happen? Just got to tune in to find out again next week.
Find out next time on Dragon Ball Z.
But we don't have to wait till next week because we're watching it now. Or
Yes.
we already watched it. We're talking about it now.
After this commercial break.
It is time for Mike's Beer of the Week. This week's beer comes to you from Evergreen Brewing, and it is their Mere Mortal, an 8.7% New England double IPA that uses a mix of Nelson and Vic's Secret hops. I love these two hops. You get a lot of pineapple with this beer, which also I am 100% for because I love pineapple. This beer was so damn smooth for being 8.7%. And I just kept taking a sip. I'm like, oh, I hope this beer never ends because I was loving it that much. Like, it's like, oh, that was a good sip. And then I take another sip a couple minutes later. I'm like, that was also a good sip. And I'm like, I would lift the can and I'm like, I hope I have more. And I did. I'm like, yes, this is great. And then I was very sad when the can was gone. The can art also fits the theme of death in Vinland Saga really well. Would definitely recommend checking out what the label of this beer can looks like. I cannot state how much I love this beer, though. Honestly, do yourself a favor. Go find a can of the Mere Mortal from Evergreen and try it for yourself because it is absolutely incredible. It might be one of my favorite beers that I've had in the Mike's Beer of the Week segment. The untapped average rating is a 4.04, and I give it a 4.5. Episode 24, end of the prologue. Before we even jump into this episode, can we talk about this episode title? It's the end of season 1, and they're like, oh yeah, this is the end of the prologue. It's like, wait, I thought the end of the prologue was when Thor's died.
Oh no. That was the prologue to the prologue.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, this is going to be one of those 200 episode animes, isn't it? Ah, okay.
Buckle up, boys. It's going to be a long one.
I don't know, because I thought the manga only had 4 or 5 arcs to it.
Oh, maybe they're long arcs.
Maybe?
So is this like arc 1?
I think so. I think this entails the war arc, and I didn't look. All I saw was the title of arc number 2, and the second title arc is called Slave, or the Slave arc, and I'm pretty sure the Slave arc takes care of season 2 of the show from doing some 5,000-foot research.
So that means we got like 5 or 6 seasons in total.
At most, which I mean, I'm okay with. I mean, maybe the later arcs of the manga are longer.
Is the manga complete, or is it still airing?
I don't
Like, is
know.
it still publishing? I mean,
So I was going to go look that up, but I don't want to see anything spoilery that might be revealed. So I'm not going to look that up.
it's my fear as well.
So, chapter 202 of the manga was released on May 22nd, and they also confirmed that the story is still being crafted.
Okay, so it's not over yet.
Oh, maybe they're on
No.
hiatus.
It's good to take breaks.
With the popularity of the anime, they gotta release more.
And back in May of 2022, Yukamura's estimates, the creator of the manga, was saying there were, at that point, back in May of 2022, at least 456 pages or 24 chapters left before Vinland Saga ended. And that was at least, so who knows how much longer it will go for.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm digging it, so keep it going.
Yeah, I'm in. I'm invested.
King Swain rewards Askeladd with 50 pounds of silver for saving King Canute. Prince Canute. Slip of the tongue there. Or was it?
Oh.
King Swain says he expects great things from Askeladd as they subjugate Wales in the future. Askeladd then asks King Swain if this is really the best campaign for the kingdom. And Prince Canute's like, what the fuck, dude? I told you to just, like, not cause any trouble and lay low. And everyone else is like, what the hell? Like, you don't say that shit to the king right to his face. And Askeladd goes on to say, we just ended a 10-year war with England, and we really should use some time to recover from the losses of that war. And that the terrain of Wales is treacherous, and that Wales itself is not really a prize worthy of the Empire. Floki's like, whoa, no, we must invade now. Like, we should invade. Like, we have to show them who's boss. They haven't agreed to peace yet. And Askeladd's like, well, send me as your envoy, and that way the people of Wales can see how generous of a king you are.
The brain chess here, man. It's on a whole nother level.
Yeah, of course his plea was pretty much just like, please don't invade.
Right? He's out of ideas.
Please don't invade my country. King Sweyn then slowly approaches Askeladd, and Thorkel gets all excited. He's like, yeah, someone's dying. Let's do this.
He's going to kill him. Thorkel was way too excited for that.
Yeah, I thought him and Askeladd were supposed to be buddy-buddy all of a sudden, and he's like, if he dies, who cares? At least I seen someone die.
Yeah, by the way, that's why when we talk about like, what would Thorkel do if he finds out that Askeladd killed Thor's? And I'm like, probably nothing, because he doesn't really seem to care about things like that much. My thoughts, anyway. He's just like, oh, did someone die? Good.
I get that, but I still think for Thorkel would make an exception. I think he would want to kill the person who killed Thor's. That's my thought.
Well, he'd want to kill the person who killed Thor's because he thought he'd be strong at fighting. That's my thought.
It's hard to say with Thorkel. At times he seems one-dimensional, and then other times he shows that he can think. So I don't know. He's hard to predict what he would do.
Good point. Yeah.
He's a wild card.
Very much so. But I love him for it.
As King Sweyn approaches Askeladd, he says to the room, you see, this is a loyal servant of the kingdom. This is what it truly looks like to be one of my loyal vassals. And he goes up and he gives Askeladd a hug. And in the process, he whispers into Askeladd's into his ear, you must choose between Wales and Prince Canute. And King Sweyn says, look, I'll ignore Wales if you bring me Prince Canute's head, and in the process, you pledge loyalty to me. And I'm sure it would have been fine if he just stopped at that point. But King Sweyn's like, nah. I'm gonna really dig the knife in and fuck with this guy. King Sweyn then says, the only thing Wales produces is slaves like Askeladd's mother. And when he said
low
this,
low
oh
blow.
yeah, I was waiting for Askeladd to just fucking slice his neck right then and there.
He totally snapped though. You knew it was going to happen. You're like they showed like the look on Askeladd's face because Askeladd's facing away from everybody else in the room, so nobody sees his face but us, the viewer. And I was like, "Oh, Swain is dead."
Shit is about to go down.
It's so good.
But before it does, we're back on a boat.
I'm on a boat.
Leif shows Thorfinn the ship that they will be sailing on. And Leif is like, oh, this is actually the ship that you wanted to sail when you were a little boy, Thorfinn. And I had the best turkey you'll ever taste. And he starts fetching it. And when he turns around, Thorfinn is nowhere to be found. Instead, he chased a bird.
Yeah, leave. Not again! Thorfinn!
He just ghosted him.
Yeah, didn't say goodbye, didn't do anything like that, just disappeared.
Leif is just going to start killing every bird he sees. He's like, Thorfinn, no!
I actually wasn't ready for that. Like, he turned around and I was like, where'd he go? What happened? He just took off.
All about a bird, too. Like, very odd.
I didn't even see the bird. He was there and they zoomed in on Leif pulling out some kind of jerky or turkey or whatever he was grabbing, and then he was gone.
Like, Thorfinn was looking at, like, some seagull, and the seagull flew away, and he just sort of like reached his hand out for it, and then all of a sudden he was gone. It's like, what? Why a seagull of all things?
Thorfinn was a ninja the entire time.
Like, what was the reason that got Thorfinn like reconsidering his options?
I mean, when I think of a bird taking flight, that's usually used to like symbolize freedom, right? The bird can just take off and fly wherever it wants to be. But that theme doesn't really seem to have anything to do with Thorfinn right now because he's very not free. He has no idea what the hell's going on. So I don't know what that is.
Unless he really sees the only way of getting his freedom is killing Askeladd.
Maybe.
And now we're back to the shit show. Askeladd brushes King Swain's hand aside from him, and he says King Swain makes him sick. And everyone is shocked at what Askeladd just said. They're like, what the fuck? You can't just say that to the king to his face. And Askeladd draws his sword, and the guards start charging and circling Askeladd. And he's like, stand down, men. The king is within my reach. And Thorkel gets pissed at this. Like, he's like, hey, the king's supposed to be my kill.
That's my boy.
King Swain then tells Askeladd to lower his sword, and if he does, all will be forgiven. Like, oh, funny joke, we're all good here. And Askeladd says, nah, you deserve death for disrespecting my mother and my homeland. And Askeladd's not even my real name. It's a nickname. My real name is Lucius Artorius Castus, and that he is the rightful king of all of Britannia.
Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit.
Yeah, this was pretty wild how with the Artorias he throws out there. He's like, I'm King Arthur. We're doing this.
Time to throw down.
But it's true, Askeladd, we never learned his like real name until now. He's like, oh yeah, they just named me that thing of the ashes, and I was like, oh, in Game of Thrones, whenever you are like a child of illegitimate marriage, or out of wedlock type of thing, you are given like the surname of the land you're in. So like Jon Snow, um, his parents like weren't together. He was born illegitimate. His surname was Snow. So in that case, I thought it was just kind of like that. I like, oh yeah, they just give like the illegitimate kids like random names and call it a day. But nope, nope. That was a nickname. And he's been hiding his real name the whole time. Very cool.
Floki then throws a cup of wine at Askeladd, which is easily blocked. Like, he didn't even throw it hard. Like, it was sort of lobbed at him.
Have a drink.
It's like, oh, you look thirsty.
The way they animated it, like the way he like tipped his sword over, like I don't know what it was. It just cracked me up.
And after blocking the wine, Floki tells his men to hurry up and protect the king. And Floki is too late because as he's saying it, Askeladd just says, off with his head! And slices King Swain's head off with one quick swing. Fucking awesome.
Absolutely incredible. I was like out of my seat at this point.
I honestly wasn't sure if he was actually gonna do it.
Yeah, I was wondering where it's like, all right, is Askeladd going to calm down? Is he gonna think things through? Is he just saying, fuck it? Like, I told Prince Canute we need to get close to King Swain to kill him, and now's my chance. But I was a little shocked that he actually went through with it. I honestly thought it'd be Thorfinn.
I mean, it's in retrospect, like watching everything unfold up to this point, he really didn't have a choice. Especially like once he drew his sword, he was in. And they have the previous episode with the whole, the brain scene with him thinking and planning. I guess this was all that he could come up with in order to make everything happen his way. Because they even show him like before he beheads the king, he gets this look over to Prince Canute, and like I don't know, like telepathically connected with him, like it's up to you now.
After killing the king, Askeladd and Prince Canute just sort of stare each other down. and Prince Canute face quickly grows to show more resolve. And Floki on the other side of the room is starting to stutter like, "Oh, guards, charge the man!" And Prince Canute is like very hard. He's like, "Seize him, kill the criminal." We then see Thorfinn running back to the outer hall, and he's like, "What the hell's going on? Why is everything in commotion?" And he looks through a window, and he sees Askeladd killing the guards, and he can't believe what he's seeing.
I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
Yeah, same. To be fair, I'm just throwing this out there though. I feel like they hyped up Askeladd's sword fighting ability a little too much here. You know what I mean? I mean, the guy's a good swordsman, but this was a little ridiculous.
Dude, he cut a dude in half through his helmet.
He had
Yeah,
he
but
did,
I have to remember it's anime.
yeah, and he had the adrenaline going too. I'm sure.
Oh yeah, all the other guys are caught off guard. You are right, like that. So there's a difference, and a man fighting with nothing to lose is like really scary because it's like if he gets stabbed while he stabs you, he just doesn't care. So like there's something unsettling about a guy that unhinged because even if you cut him, you might die anyway. And you have to think that messes with a person's psyche when they're fighting someone like that.
Askeladd is laughing, which just shows that how much he is how he's broken, and he's laughing as he kills the guards, and the guards just sort of freeze up as he's laughing. He then tells them that he is the true king of Britannia, and he will take their lives himself. And he has a real crazed look in his eyes.
This sequence is just absolutely badass. Askeladd is incredible here. He's laying on the thick acting, and it's messing with all their heads, and they're afraid of him. They're too afraid to move in, and the guys that do just get cut down by him. I was loving this.
Yeah, for Ask, that's always the head games, and he's so good at it.
We see Thorfinn trying to push himself into the hall as elders and lords are trying to escape, and he yells out to Askeladd. We then see Thorkel pouting that Askeladd killed King Swain. He's like, "Oh, that was supposed to be my kill. And I'm mad, and why did Askeladd do that? And why is he raging? And what's wrong with him?" And Thorkel's just a sad, big ass Viking at this point. And Prince Canute's like, "This is all an act." Like he's like, Askeladd had to make a choice between saving myself and Wales, and he knew the only way that he could save both of us was by killing King Swain. Prince Canute then says, "Thorkel, you can kill Askeladd once he's finished with his rampage." And Thorkel's like, and I love how Thorkel's like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to. He's like, Askeladd's your loyal vassal. You should be the one that puts the loyal dog down.
Thorkel's wisdom. He knew what Askeladd had planned once it happened. He's like, I see. Okay, yeah. He's like, yeah. So Askeladd's sacrifice isn't in vain. I guess I could let Canute do something really cool to potentially solidify his place on the eventual throne.
I mean, would it even surprise us if Askeladd and Prince Canute had a conversation leading up to this point, like saying, hey, if this is our only option of taking out King Swain, I'm going to take it?
I don't think that they would have had that because the whole Wales thing came out of left field. So if Askeladd knew that the attack on Wales was going to be a thing, then maybe. But that caught him off guard. So I think this was all just on the fly. This was the best thing he could come up with in order to save Wales and promote Prince Canute.
Yeah, I think he had to call an audible. Definitely, I'm gonna say definitely wasn't discussed beforehand, but I think once he started doing it, it was easy for Thorkel to catch on.
Yeah.
You mean Prince Canute?
Well, both.
Both, yeah.
I don't think I don't really think Thorkel was catching the drift as much as Prince Canute was.
Yeah, he was pretty mad he didn't get to kill Swain.
Yeah.
I think Thorkel wasn't completely oblivious. He didn't get the whole plan. Canute did. But I mean, Thorkel definitely backs up Canute once he sort of catches on toward the end of everything happening.
We then see a showdown between Askeladd and Floki. I really wish this showdown lasted longer than it did. And I love how Askeladd called Floki scum. And he's just like beating Floki down. He's like, I will give you the honor of kissing my boot.
This is the part where I thought some information was gonna slip out of Askeladd's lips, but it did not.
We then see Thorfinn running on the top of people's heads and shoulders to reach Askeladd, which
He's so nimble.
I started laughing at the absurdity of it. And then Thorfinn yells out to Askeladd, and Askeladd yells to Thorfinn to stay back. And in the process of doing this, we learn that Prince Canute stabbed Askeladd, and at the point of the stabbing, Askeladd's no-selling the shit out of it.
This was a pretty cool moment too, because I mean, Askeladd is been trying to teach Canute as well. Once Canute, loved snow or whatever that scene was. So he's been trying to teach him as well, and like how to be a leader and his style of planning and trying to stay a couple steps ahead. And this was just a pretty pretty cool moment. Like the teacher to the student, like, all right, it's up to you now. And as much as I have hated Askeladd throughout the show because he's been a dick, this was a good moment for him.
Askeladd then asks if this is the first time Prince Canute has struck a man with his sword. And Askeladd says he did well. He then begins to fall, and Thorfinn runs and catches him. And as Thorfinn is holding Askeladd, everyone else is cheering Prince Canute on for killing him. And Thorkel comes up behind Prince Canute and puts his hand on his shoulder and says, "Stand tall. This is the moment."
Prince Canute was about to like fall over backwards, and Thorko had to catch him and prop him up.
I mean, it was an important moment though. He was right. He's like Askeladd gave you the stage. Like this is like a play. Like I tell you what, it's as scripted as wrestling right here. You know what I mean? Like it really is wrestling like in some ways, where it's just like now time to cut your promo after you win. Like it's wild. No, it was so well thought out by Askeladd that he really set up Canoe for success there.
Thorfinn is holding Askeladd, and he's like, "I can't believe you got yourself killed or stabbed." And Askeladd's like, "Thorfinn, please just stop being so loud for just this one moment." And he's like, "I just need some rest." And Thorfinn says, "No way. We need to get out of here." And Askeladd's like, "Thorfinn, you can finish me off. Like, kill me." And he's like, "We're enemies, aren't we, the two of us?" And Thorfinn, like, none of this is really clicking in Thorfinn's head. He's going through the shock of it all. And Thorfinn can't believe that Askeladd is dying. And then Askeladd asks Thorfinn in his final breaths, like, "How do you intend to live your life now from this point on?" Like, he's like, "Have you even thought about it?" And even Askeladd's like, "Thorfinn, go far, far away. And you have what it takes to become a true warrior."
This scene hit hard, man.
Yeah, for real.
I love this scene.
Yeah, but if we thought Thorfinn was he kind of felt like kind of lost earlier in this episode. Wait till after this episode.
Prince Canute then tells Thorfinn that he won't ask for forgiveness. And Prince Canute says that he's assuming that Thorfinn no longer wants to stay in his service. And if so, he releases Thorfinn. Thorfinn, then, being a dumbass, charges at Prince Canute and takes a swing at him, cutting him below the eye. Thorkel is able to get a hold of Thorfinn and holds him down. And Prince Canute is very calm. He's like, "No, it's fine. Like, this cut is payment for what I took from Thorfinn."
This was another moment from Thorfinn where, like, from what I recall, like the look on his face was just blank. He's like, again, he's totally broken, and he just reactively attacked Prince Canute.
I mean, how many years has Thorfinn protected Askeladd? And when Askeladd's in trouble, Thorfinn goes to protect him without thinking about it.
Yeah, and that's it. Like this was all reflexive, and again, this just makes me excited for season two. Like what is gonna become of Thorfinn as far as like a warrior, because he has the skills, and when he wasn't so focused on trying to beat Askeladd to the point where he defeats himself, like he could topple just about anybody.
Floki's like, oh, we need to kill the kid, and we like Floki is very shocked and shook during this entire episode. Like he doesn't know how to react. He doesn't know what to say. Like he's like, oh, we need to kill this, and we need to do this, and we need to do, and like Prince Canute just is like, Floki, who do you consider to be the commander of the army now that the king is dead? And Floki's just like, like he doesn't know what to do because the man he pledged his allegiance to is dead, and he was wanting to back the other brother.
Yeah, that was something I wanted to mention, by the way, is that I wonder if Canute claims the crown. We haven't even met Harold. And I wonder what's he gonna think about all this?
If I had to guess, he's not gonna like it.
That'd be my thought too.
Prince Canute picks up the crown and puts it on, and he declares himself the King of Denmark. This episode begins to conclude with Thorfinn being held back from Askeladd's body and dragged away. And in the process, he drops his knife, and we see a montage in the knife, and then eventually it takes up the entire screen of all the events that led up to this point. And this show does montages so damn well.
It really does, doesn't it?
Yeah, they're good at them.
We then see a ship on a stormy water, and on that ship is some man we've never seen before. And I'm starting to wonder if that's Oh, I'm sorry. I almost called him Prince Canute. He is now King Canute. If that
Oh
is his
yeah, they don't want to mess that up. Yeah.
if that is his brother.
This is a pretty common anime trope that a lot of times they'll do at the end of a season, where they introduce these characters that I assume are going to be prevalent in season two, but we've never seen before. And I don't know. I really don't care for this trope. They're showing me pictures of people I don't know who they are, and like, if you read the manga, maybe you recognize these characters and it gets you excited. But I don't read the manga. I just watch the show, so I'm being shown these clips of people I don't know. So I'm not excited for them because I don't know who they are.
Yeah, but at the same time though, if you do read the manga, like I didn't read the manga for this show obviously, but like if I did, I would have been hyped probably, assuming I like those characters.
Unless they're just another Anne.
That I tell you what, if they show them at the end of season 1, they're probably not another A.
To me, this is just a silly trope, but I'm not a big fan of it. But there are those people. Get excited.
I will say the one trope we didn't get was scenes happening in the end credits as the credits rolled.
Oh, like stuff is happening and the music is playing in the background
Yep.
still?
Yeah.
Yeah, some shows do that.
And it leads into like a little after credit scene.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised they didn't do it here, but honestly, I'm okay with it. I don't mind whenever like one of the thing I've been seeing a lot of is like they don't play the opening theme song in the last episode, and then during the ending credits they play like they play the credits on top of things happening, and like characters are talking, and the opening theme is playing in the background.
Instead of
I've
the
seen
closing theme.
so many shows do that, and I'm fine with it. But like I don't know, like I don't need that. You could just like air the episode like normal and then play the ending. It's fine. It's fine with me. You don't need to like give me entertainment while the credits are rolling. Stop trying to get me to read your name. I'm not gonna do it. I don't care.
I don't want to know who you are.
Can't read it anyway. It's all in Japanese.
That's fair.
So before we discuss the season on a whole, what did you two think of these two episodes?
10 out of 10.
Yeah, that finale. I mean, I said that one of the other episodes was my favorite in the series to that point. Last week we had one of those episodes, and I changed my mind. And I think the finale is my favorite episode. because just how insane it is.
It is rated a 9.9 out of 10 on IMDb for a reason.
Oh crap, that's a good rating.
There were some good episodes.
This finale was amazing. Now it is time for the waifu of the week. I have a feeling that this week it's going to be a very easy choice for the three of us. But Sean, why don't you start us off with your waifu of the week this week and why?
Yep. I was doing a lot of thinking about the episode where Askeladd's crew pillaged that village, and I was thinking, man, it'd be great if Anne was in this episode. So I'm gonna make Anne my. No, I'm just kidding. It's yeah. It's a pretty obvious choice. That it is, for me, Askeladd. Not only did the guy put Canute on the throne, he also defended his home country and gave up his life to do it. This guy, he's not the most honorable guy, but holy crap, did he like try to defend like his mother's memory and his people, and he tried to keep his promise to the people of Wales, because back a few episodes back when they granted him passage, he talked about putting Canute on the throne and how Wales would be safe, and he wanted to keep that promise. So really, Askeladd is like, I don't know what the show's gonna be like without him, because after Thorfinn, he was kind of like main character number 2, and honestly, most of the time Thorfinn didn't even feel like a main character, and Askeladd kind of did. So I don't know where they're going, but Askeladd is going to be very missed, and I'm worried that the show's quality will dip in his absence. Next up, Turtle.
Thorkel. How about you, Mike? No, I'm kidding. For this week, as much as I have hated the guy, I have to go with Askeladd. The whole brain chess for these last 2 episodes between him and Swain McMahon just had me on the edge of my seat and then out of my seat. I absolutely loved him. Getting his actual backstory, like his name, his true intentions finally revealed to all. It made me hate him a whole lot less. I definitely understood him a little bit more having that information now out in the open for everybody to know. And yeah, I mean, it almost makes me want to go back and watch these episodes again with Askeladd's point of view in mind to see if my opinion of him changes. Because they slowly reveal him throughout the series, and now that he's gone, I do kind of agree. I'm not sure how the show's going to be without him, because he's made some huge plays in the show. Whether you like them or not up to this point, he's been incredibly important. And the whole, like, Thorfinn being the main character and not doing anything, it's like everything is happening around Thorfinn, but Thorfinn's not really taking part in much of this. So I'm very interested to see how Season 2 is going to be formatted now that we have lost Askeladd. But for this week, I got to go with Askeladd. Unless we get Force Ghost Askeladd coming back in Season 2, we're probably not going to see this guy again. And this was a really great way to send his character off. So I'm going Askeladd this week.
Took you boys long enough to get on the Askeladd train. I've
been on the Askeladd train.
I haven't. I think I picked him once or twice this whole season, so I got to give it to him here, though. These were great.
I'm also going with Askeladd. He's been one of my favorite characters this season. He had his asshole moments, but deep down you could tell, like, he wanted to be a good guy. He just did it in a roundabout way.
Yeah, like, it's one of those guys who's just, like, dealt a bad hand in life and never stood a chance. So, like, you could tell that if this guy would have been raised in his hometown, probably could have really done great things.
Like, what if he wasn't born to a slave mother? What if he had a good relationship with his father? Like, what if Askeladd was Thor's child instead of Thorfinn?
Oh, that's an interesting thought.
Well, the jury's still out on Thorfinn. He's still young. There's still time.
Still young, still broken, still lost.
But I loved how Askeladd was. He was an asshole, but he was also very honorable. Like, he wanted to defend his home country. He wanted to defend the honor of his mother. He saw the good in Prince Canute, and it made him actually like want to change. So I'm very sad that we're losing Askeladd for season 2. Sean, I agree. I'm sort of worried about the quality of season 2 without this great character, but I'm also very excited to see Thorfinn finally be the main character of this show, because we all know he's supposed to be the main character, but season 1 he sure as shit was not the main character.
Honestly, I felt kind of annoyed by him a lot during parts of this series, especially the past few episodes. I get it; it's part of his story, right? And his story is he has to go through this mental anguish. He has a lot of hard decisions to make. He has to go through changes. I get it, but it annoyed the heck out of me for for a lot of it. And I was like, Thorfinn is the worst character in the show right now.
I also think that's just like kids and teenagers in shows are always the worst part of shows because they're always so fucking stupid.
That's the truth.
Like, it's an used trope, but I mean, Walking Dead back in the day. Where's Carl? He's not in the house.
Oh look, he's doing something stupid.
Yeah, exactly. Like, Coral, stay in the house, Coral.
Oh, you're right. No, that's how I feel about Thorfinn. But I'm keeping an open mind. I think next season is going to be off to a really. I bet they're going to start really slow, and that's okay if it builds to something good. Because this show was slow, but it built to something really good. So if they can do it again, I don't mind if it's slow, if the payoff is there.
So, what did the two of you think of the season on a whole?
A little too long-winded for my liking. However, the story that's here is really good.
Yeah, personally, I would give it something like an 8 out of 10. You know, for me, like I thoroughly enjoyed it. But yeah, it felt slow at a couple points, and it's not just because I was watching 2 episodes over the course of 12 weeks. You know what I mean? Or 2 episodes a week over the course of 12 weeks. It was just a little slow. Really liked the show. Really liked Thor's Askeladd. The characters would drive a show for me. So like, if the characters suck, but like the animation is fantastic, then I don't care. Usually, I need good characters, and there's enough to carry to the finish line for me. I really, as a thumbs up or thumbs down, thumbs up that I would like to watch season 2 at some point. So it's good enough to hook me and get me to watch another 24.
I loved the first 6 to 8 episodes with Thor's. I loved the last 6 episodes of this season. So that's 12 episodes right there. And there were some episodes in the middle that I really loved, and there were some episodes that I wasn't a huge fan on. Overall, I'd probably give this an 8.5 or 9. Because even the bad episodes, minus the Anne episode, weren't terrible in my opinion. Like, I still really enjoyed this show, like this show on a whole, and that could just be because I really love Viking stuff as well. Um, but I'm very excited for season 2. Like, I'm very excited to see what happens with Thorfinn now without Askeladd. I'm very intrigued to learn who that man at the end of season 1 was. And not gonna lie, I'm very intrigued to see what they mean by the slave arc.
It's quite a name for an arc.
Yeah,
Like, is Thorfinn going to be a slave?
It could happen. The wounding of Prince Canute, is Canute really going to forgive him?
I think after everything that they've been through together and Canute, like, has a general idea, like, Thorfinn definitely wanted to kill Askeladd himself, and he can clearly see that, like, Thorfinn's broken. I think he intended to, like, try to let him go. That's why he's like, I guess you don't want to be in my service. Henceforth, I release you. You can go and be free and do what you want. He was trying to get him out of there. Like, just you can go, dude. It's fine. You don't need to be a part of what's to come. But then Thorfinn's totally broken and just snapped. So I have no idea what's going to happen to him at this point.
Speaking of Vinland Saga Season 2, we were talking before recording. We are going to talk about Season 2 at some point, but we also agreed that it's probably best to take a little bit of a break from Vinland Saga with the holidays coming up. With how long the seasons are, we don't want to burn out ourselves and you, our listeners. So we will be taking a short break from Vinland Saga and be coming back to it at some point in early 2024.
So stay tuned.
What we are going to watch next, we're still trying to figure that out. But we do have a very special episode for you all next week, as we will be having a Banter Blitz for the One Piece live action on Netflix.
Woohoo!
Thank you all for joining us this week as we watched Vinland Saga and completed Vinland Saga Season 1. We hope you join us next week for episode 28 of the Anime Banter podcast, where we will be having a Banter Blitz episode for the One Piece live action on Netflix. Please give us a 5-star review on all platforms that allow reviews. If you are listening on YouTube, please like the video, hit the notification bell, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. Turtle, do you have anything you would like to plug?
You can find me on my YouTube channel, RPG Treasure Trove, where I do some Let's Plays of RPG games with a friend.
Sean, do you have anything you would like to plug?
The Demon Files Season 2 is out. Listen to Season 1 and catch up. Season 2 is just airing in time for spooky season. That's Deitman, Deittman. Files found on all the major podcasting networks. Please give us a listen.
The Anime Banter podcast can be found on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Thank you all for joining, and we will talk to you next week.